Hit record. And okay, we're almost all set. Go ahead, Coach.
Good to go. Okay, so yeah, just appreciate everybody being here. You know, a good day, I think. Good to be outside. Beautiful day, best day we've had, and good to have some fans here and family. I think overall the spring was good. It was, you know, productive for us. Saw growth pretty much top to bottom with the roster, and I think one thing that's been consistent. This goes back to January. The work ethic and the attitude's been pretty good from the onset. So happy about that. And then I think our leadership base was surprisingly good. You know, prior to spring ball, and it continues to grow too. So I think we have a lot of guys that are really invested in, you know, thinking right and acting right, doing those kinds of things. So, you know, finishes this phase. I think the couple truisms have been true over decades, you know, for us at least, and probably everybody. You know, as we move forward, our best guys have to play their best, and based on what they've done thus far, I think they understand that. And then certainly for us, and probably again most people, but for us especially, you know, we're going to need you know, good stories each and every year. And I think this year it's really kind of interesting, you know, but it's all about growth. All that stuff is focused on growth. And this year, I think, you know, again, we don't have a lot of established, quote unquote, there's really no incumbents at any position, but not as many true veteran guys, if you will. And as we stand here right now, you can ask about starters and all that, but there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be decided, I think, in August, and then maybe even into the season, which is not a bad thing because I think we have good competition, but it's a really dynamic process. And, you know, I apologize ahead of time. I don't know if we'll put out a depth chart this summer, just because all it does is get parents mad, and, you know, nobody knows the answers. I tell our guys every year it doesn't really matter until we start playing, you know, what the depth chart says. So we'll see what that looks like. But, you know, the interesting part about it, you know, we've got a lot of guys that made big jumps since January, and then conversely, there's going to be a lot more of that, I think, hopefully going on from today until the end of August and into camp. That's the neat thing about college football. Players change a little bit more dramatically than maybe older guys do. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, we got basically 5 weeks till June, a couple of weeks here to finish up the academics, finals week, and then they've got a couple of weeks in May. After that, depending on when their finals finish, we'll see them early June and start the summer program. I think our guys really understand just how important all this stuff is, and just working at it daily, the value of that, if they'll embrace that a little bit. And the last two things just finish up with, certainly happy for Caleb. I don't know if things happened yet today, but happy for him being drafted last night. And I'm guessing we'll have, you know, a handful of guys get drafted today or locate, you know, end up in their locations as free agents. So always happy for guys to get that opportunity. And then the other thing, just, you know, I think you guys will probably figure the same thing out, but it is kind of a sad commentary, just maybe not a sad commentary, but a pretty emblematic of where we're at in college football. It's August 26th right now, and, you know, none of us still know what the rules are moving forward. So I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it's just, you know, it's pretty indicative of the last couple of years. And hopefully, you know, semi-optimistic, hopefully all this stuff will get settled at some point, and hopefully by July 1st, we'll know what the hell we're doing here moving into the season. So, you know, just a little side commentary, but not much you can do about it. So we'll just see where it all goes. But I'll throw it out for questions.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, Kirk, just really quick. What's the status of James Dunker? I know he wasn't out there today. Kind of what's the latest on him?
Yeah, he's been nursing, not even nursing. He's been playing with a little bit of a orthopedic issue, and really it's nothing major. So, hey, we got that addressed this week. We've got, you know, you can count on how many guys were out today, but really, as far as I know, nothing that's going to inhibit where we're at in August. So that's the good news. If there's good news, you hate to have anybody miss time or be out medically, but yeah, he should be back here in a short time. Elliot.
Hey, Kirk, wanted to ask about the vertical passing game. It just seems like there's a lot more confidence in the quarterback room to throw the ball deep right now. I guess, would you agree with that, or I guess what are you seeing from the passing game?
Yeah, and probably more so today than we've had maybe as much all spring, but you know, I think we have a healthy room back there. I say that, and, you know, the starter's not practicing right now, but there's been good competition. The guys are doing a good job of moving along, and yeah, I think if we've grown more in one spot than any spot on our team, it's probably the receiver group. You know, I think we're just probably a little bit more veteran. Guys have a better understanding, and it's probably true of our whole offense right now. You know, this is year 2, so everybody's moving a little quicker. I say everybody. The guys that have played are moving a little quicker. and hopefully that'll come in time.
Speaking of receivers, noticed a couple of really nice plays from KJ Parker. Obviously the false start too, but kind of what have you seen from him this spring, and also Weechin, how do you think you can get him maybe a little more involved in the offense?
Yeah, I'll start with the false start. Nobody was further from the ball than him, right? And haven't coached receivers in about 48 years, but pretty sure they're supposed to watch the ball. But that's been a problem all spring. That's inexperience, I think, typically. And so anyway, but he's a great young guy. He really did a good job last year. He's on our scout team and tortured our defense. He's really kind of fearless out there, aggressive, got a really good attitude, and I don't think he realizes he's a first-year guy and what he weighs. I don't think he's quite aware of that, so he plays bigger than that. But he's done a good job, really good job. And I talked about guys progressing and stories. These next 3 months will be huge for him. It's true of everybody, but if you're thinking right, now instead of running, whoever we're playing plays, he's been running our offense this whole spring, and hopefully he'll take this experience and be more refined when we get out there in August. And I mean, it's our whole team, not just him. We had about 63 false starts today, and that's everybody. It's not just the center, not just the quarterback. It's everybody being involved in that. Sorry.
Just with Jackson, I guess just from the time he got on your campus last year to this point, how would you kind of categorize his growth? And just as a housekeeping, is he still a walk-on or is he on scholarship?
He's still a walk-on, yeah. He's doing a good job. Yeah, he's a really, really good young guy, and still again trying to figure out how he got here. I mean, he showed up in August. It's the first time I met him and his folks. But then he ends up playing a couple games for us and did a really nice job. So he's growing just like Hank's growing, and I think everybody, Jimmy obviously is really drinking through a fire hose right now. It's tough, when you come in, but he may be more than anybody. All the first year guys, they'll benefit when they get to August. At least having some experience in what we're doing. But no, we're pleased with the whole group of quarterbacks. They've done a good job.
We've had some guys in the portal here in recent weeks. I guess, how do you feel about, number one, it seems like you've had a lot of hits in the portal. Phil talked about the D tackles being really good. Obviously, Gronowski, you pick up George, South Dakota. I mean, do you feel like you're good now in the portal? And how would you assess kind of the portal success you've had thus far based on your viewpoint?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things to address there, but the guys that we have brought in, and I pretty much for the most part, however many years we've been doing this now, feels like 10, but it's probably been 3, maybe or 2. For the most part, I think most everybody's kind of been what we thought they would be for the most part, and you can't factor injuries into it. There's nothing you can do about that, and those certainly impede careers. But I think overall, things that the guys that we brought in that we kind of thought we knew what they were, they've proven to be. So compliment all of the guys involved in personnel, the coaches and the personnel staff, and work they've done there. And our biggest thing has been just to try to supplement the team. So I think the guys that have come in here, the 5 guys that joined us back in January, are fitting in really well. And then I think they all have a chance to make some contributions, significant contributions this coming year or beyond. And then we're not done yet. There are players out there right now that are looking, and hosted a couple this week we're waiting to get word on. But I don't think, it's not going to be headline news necessarily, but it's going to, make our team better and our roster better. It's kind of been the goal. And then, the guys that left, I told the team the same thing. What we don't want are guys that aren't sure they want to be here. It's just not good for anybody. And the one guy I'll single out is Brendan Sullivan. I always go back to like when Jake Rudock left and I'm brain fart right now. Gosh, Cody Sokol went to La Tech. Quarterback, it's a whole different animal because there's one ball, there's one position, and it's not like a guard or a tackle. They rotate, the quarterback plays. So I can't say enough about the contributions Brendan made. He is as good as any guy in terms of the kind of person and his work ethic and competitiveness. As good as anybody we've ever had here. So I just wish him all the best. He's a tremendous young guy. Everybody here is a fan of his. He just, but it just, I got it. So, totally got it.
Scott.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about, I guess, the 105, which may or may not happen.
So do I. Yeah. I want to ask you. Anyway, yeah.
Well, with the judge at least saying
Yeah.
that this needs to be phased in, which is something that I think you and everybody else said a year ago needed to happen. How did this ball get dropped, first of all? And second of all, is it fair for you that you were so transparent with all of your players back in December, and a lot of them that could have been great depth pieces, or even competing for special teams or depth spots here? So is it fair to you that you were actually, on the forefront?
Yeah, since I've been here, I counted them. We have a couple things on the wall in there. I counted them one day. I think we've had 8 captains since I've been back that were came here as walk-ons. That's one of my first thoughts. But to your point that you really talked about, we had some guys that were just good team guys, that we had to tell back. We didn't have to tell apparently back in December, but I think we all felt it was the right thing to do. If we're not going to be able to guarantee a spot in the spring, thought the right thing to do is tell the guys then, allow them to stay with us. I mean, they're all welcome to stay through the bowl, take trips, and then come back and still go to the bowl. And a lot of guys found good homes, and I'm not saying, I don't know how many would have been starters ever, you can't predict that, but to your point, they're all good team guys that helped us go and operate well. So, you got a couple things. The 105 number is an issue, and that's a whole separate category. And, but the way we've gone about it, yeah. And, you deal with whatever comes your way, because, this is way out of my hands, so I didn't get too worked up about it. But I will be a little bit upset if they say, you can grandfather guys in. Our guys are gone, and to me it rewards the people that, in my opinion, maybe weren't thinking about the best of what's best for their players by keeping them, letting them. And we had, for the record, 4 or 5 guys that we just, said, hey, you're not on the 105, but you're welcome to stay in the spring too, and they've chosen to do that. But we've been transparent with each and every guy. I just felt like that's the right thing to do. That's how I'd want to be treated, and I think you owe that to every player. I'll be a little upset if it blows up in our face. That's going to be, and I'm not sure how we'll fill our roster if this actually is goes through in somehow, even if it's not grandfathered. I don't know where we go shopping for players right now. So and then the other part of it, not to belabor the thing, but the guys we let go, we knew, like they'd been here and they know the routine and they've been good team members, and so now you're going on blind dates with another, let's say 10 guys or 15 guys. Not really wild about blind date. I'm a little too old for that, I think. So anyway, so we'll see. But we'll deal with whatever happens. But that's my point about the whole thing. It's April 26th, and we still don't know what the rules are. Not to mention what's going to happen if we are 105. What about the guys that are injured? What about? Because it's not like the NFL. You can't pull guys off the street in October. They're not out there. So it's just that parts of this whole equation. Big news flash, but parts of this whole equation has not really been well thought out, unfortunately. But the good news is, overall, if it works, it's going to be a lot better. Just to give us some structure, because we have none right now. Hopefully, we'll try that for another year, because it's chaos. No, you guys know the examples better than I do. Some real obvious ones out there.
We'll finish up with 4 and Q. Start here on the left, Corey.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about the portal as well, specifically Bryce George.
Yep.
How hard is that you're an O-line guy, but
Yep.
you're recruiting a guy who played at a totally different level, really successful at that level. But is it different than recruiting a guy from high school because you have time to work with him, as opposed to Bryce who's got 1 year? How hard is that? Is that a difficult thing to do in your estimation?
Yeah, there's give and take. Let's talked about Sully here a few minutes ago. Both he and Jake Gill came over last June. And the good thing about, Brendan hadn't played a lot for Northwestern, but he had played some, but he'd been in college and learned an offense and all that. And then Jake, same thing, he had played. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you come in, 3 or 4 years under your belt, it's a lot faster process learning. The nomenclature is different language in most cases. So that's part of it. And the techniques are going to be different too. They're going to be really different for him. But I think he's got the physical maturity. I really anticipate, as I look at it right now, we probably have a couple jobs open for, jump balls for the offensive line, and he'll be in contention for one of those 2 spots probably. And so it's up to him to June, July, see how fast he can move forward. But I think he'll be able to handle it really well. And, he was in here for a couple days, which is really good for us to get to know him and get a feel for, just how he thinks as a player and a competitor.